everybody, and welcome back to my channel. I'm going to take you along in this video as I prepare a few of our weeknight dinners. I'm going to talk to you about why I chose these, and then I'm also going to take you along as I do a little refresh in our spice cabinet. So come along, and I hope that you enjoy this video. So this meal actually starts earlier in the day. So while I was preparing lunch, I went ahead and chopped some of my vegetables ahead of time. I asked over on Instagram, what are some things that you guys do to help yourself with meals throughout the week? And someone mentioned this, and it's not something I'd always do, but it is something that I do when I can think about it. While I have the cutting board out, while I have a knife out, is there something I can go ahead and chop up? So that's what I chose to do on this particular day, was to go ahead and chop up peppers and onions. So this first meal is going to be a very Asian inspired dish. And what I'm talking about today is how to make meals affordably and how to stretch your dollar further. So you guys have heard me talk about Aldi a lot. I do a lot of our shopping there, and I really try to look for those 50% off stickers, especially in the meat section. So I found a pack of boneless, skinless chicken thighs, and you will see those later in the video, but they were 50% off because they were approaching their expiration date, but they had not yet become expired. So I wanted to see if I could make two completely separate meals for our family of 5. Of course, Harrison is still nursing, so he's not eating yet. So really just the 4 of us. I wanted to see, could I make 2 different videos, 2 different meals out of this one pack of chicken thighs? So the first one, like I said, is going to be very Asian inspired, and it's kind of a spin on the TikTok ramen noodles that I've mentioned before. So we are currently kind of going through a little bit of a gluten-free experiment in our house to kind of help some skin issues that we've got going on. And so I wanted to find a way to make this gluten-free. And so you will see I'm going to end up using some rice noodles. Another thing that I'm doing this summer to try to eat affordably is when people have abundant produce from their garden and they say, we have extra squash, do you want some? The answer is yes. The answer is always going to be yes. So you can see there, I have taken my chicken, I've salt and peppered it, that's all I did, and then I put a little bit of oil in the pan. I did this first before the vegetables because I wanted to deglaze the pan, number 1, but number 2, add flavor. So you'll see as I'm putting in the squash and the onions here, you'll see that the bottom of the pan starts to get clean. I am adding some salt and pepper. I'm also adding some onion and garlic powder. And then while that is kind of reducing down, I am working on chopping up my chicken. If you're wondering where the peppers and onions went, those will be for my second meal, and you'll see that in just a little while. So I'm going ahead and getting those rice noodles in the water, and then I'm going ahead and getting the vegetables and chicken all combined, and then I'm going to remove them so I can make my sauce. Now, TikTok ramen usually uses soy sauce, but I am using coconut aminos, again, because we're kind of doing a little bit of a gluten-free thing most of the time, just trying to problem solve. If you have ever had skin issues or someone in your house has, then you know how painstaking it is and how sometimes you just kind of grasp at straws and try to figure out, what's the answer, and you think you found it and then somebody has another flare up. So anyway, that's a story for another day. So I noticed the sauce was getting just a little bit thick, and I wanted to make sure that I had enough. So this sauce consists of butter, of garlic, coconut aminos, and roasted red pepper flakes. And I really don't measure. I just kind of judge by how it looks and how it tastes. So I've turned the heat off and I've tossed everything in the sauce, and you can see just how luscious and beautiful it looks. I ended up mixing these together so that the noodles were coated in the sauce as well, and it was really delicious. It just had a lot of depth of flavor and texture. Okay, so different day. We're going to move on and we are cooking in the oven today. So I've got those peppers and onions out of the fridge. And unfortunately, the only thing that I didn't like about this method was that it did make my lid smell like peppers and onions. So I've got that soaking in baking soda and I'm hoping that I can get the smell out. Even after running it through the dishwasher, it did still hold on to the smell of the peppers and onions. So anyway, today we are making fajitas. So I've gathered my spices here. You can see a lot of my spices are from Aldi, and every single one of these spices, with the exception of maybe the cayenne, I would say absolutely needs to go in a starter kit. You know, if you are somebody just starting out cooking and you wonder what spices you need, I would say that all of these are definitely on the list. I will link this recipe down below. One way that I save time is the recipe tells you to take all of the spices and mix them in a separate bowl and then sprinkle them over. But as you'll see in just a minute, everything gets mixed together anyway. So I just kind of shake everything over the vegetables and the chicken and try to do a good job of being as even as I can. But you're going to mix everything anyway. So I always think, why dirty another bowl? Anyway, that's just me trying to make less dishes and less work for myself. So into the oven they go, and while they are roasting, my spice cabinet has been bothering me for a little while. It has gotten crowded, it has gotten disorganized, and my honey bottles have gotten sticky, which means that the places where they sit have gotten sticky. So some of my other bottles have gotten in that stick, and it's just a whole lot of sticky, and nobody likes sticky messes. So I'm pulling all these bottles out. And when I find something like this, when I find duplicates of big bottles of something like balsamic vinegar, that's how I know that things have gotten a little out of control and that I need to reassess and do a good cleaning. So I didn't take everything out here, but just those spices at the very front I took out and I wiped everything down. And now I'm just going to kind of put everything back in an order that makes sense. I got a new spice or a new seasoning. I wonder if you guys have ever tried, I think it's called tahini. Let me know down in the comments if you've tried it before. All right, so it's not perfect, but my spices are relatively alphabetized and they are all there together. I do need to mix up some more taco seasoning and put it in that left little clear jar. But other than that, I'm really pleased with how this looks. So I'm going to get rice going in the Instant Pot. We are very much a jasmine rice family, and I cook rice probably about once a week. I really like the way that it turns out in the Instant Pot, and I love that I don't have to monitor it. I just put my rice in, I rinse it like this, and then once I drain the water off, I add coconut oil, water, and salt. It could not be easier. It turns out great every time. We really love it. So I'm adding 2 cups of rice. I'm adding 2 cups of water. And then I will add a tablespoon of coconut oil. Y'all, it is hot in North Carolina. And this is how I know it, because usually this coconut oil is solid. And when I got it out of the cabinet, it was completely pourable. So to that, I add a tablespoon of oil, like I said, and a teaspoon of salt. And I put that on high pressure for 5 minutes, and then I let it natural release. So I'm checking the temperature of my chicken. Another thing that you must have if you're a beginning cook, I think, is a meat thermometer. It gives me a lot of peace of mind. I'm somebody who kind of worries about making people sick with my food, and so that just gives me peace of mind that my meat is done and to the temperature it should be. The meat actually was to the temperature that it should be, but I wanted a little more caramelization, so I put that back in, but set my veggies to the side. The last thing that I wanted to do was make some guacamole. Whenever I first got married, I remember telling my mom, I want a thing. And what I meant by that was I saw all of the women around me have something they were known for. And when it was a potluck or a special event, they had this thing that they were known for, and people would request for them to make it. And I wondered what my things were going to be. Well, a friend at church made this guacamole, and I loved it so much I asked her for the recipe. And wouldn't you know, one of the things that I have become known for is making the guacamole. And it's less about a pride thing as it is just kind of a place to belong and something fun to kind of tie your name to. So I would love to know down in the comments, what are your things? What are the things that whenever you get invited to an event or you host, what are the things that people always request? I know especially that there are certain things that I'm known for because there have been times when I haven't made them, and I've had family members come up to me and say, where's the garlic cheddar biscuits? Or where's the Tar Heel pie? Where's the chocolate chip pound cake? And it just makes me smile. It makes me feel known and loved. But anyway, like I said, I'd love to know what your things are down in the comments. So to the avocado, lime, and salt, I am adding some garlic and some tomato. I would usually also add onion, but actually that onion I used was the last one that I had. So here are all of my elements all gathered together. This honestly is my favorite type of meal to make. A rice bowl with different toppings that people can kind of customize and make it unique to their tastes and preferences. It's honestly my favorite. So I've got some chips here, some different toppings, and this is our favorite Aldi salsa. You have to let me know if you've tried it. We love this pineapple salsa. So here's a look at my plate on a paper plate because the dishwasher was full, and if you know, you know. All right, you guys, thank you so much for watching. Please leave me a comment down below. Please like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you in the next one.